Today's video is kindly sponsored by jerseyfifa.com, the website you need to head to right away to get yourself the latest high quality football shirts at an extremely affordable price. And what's even better than that, you can use code JerseyFIFA at checkout to get 10% off your order. The link will be in the description, but again I just want to say a massive thank you to Jersey FIFA for sponsoring the video. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today I'll be doing analysis of last night's big Champions League semi-final first leg clash between Liverpool and Villarreal at Anfield. And to be honest, both teams were set up pretty much exactly how we would have expected, with Liverpool in the 4-3-3, whilst Villarreal stuck to their usual 4-4-2. So we'll start with the home side, and as we'd expect, Liverpool looked to try and play the ball out from the back, and this was incredibly easy for them because Villarreal had no interest in applying any pressure up the pitch. We can see exactly this in both of these pictures here, with Villarreal happy to sit off the Liverpool players, giving the centre backs in particular a lot of time to take as many touches as they wanted to progress the ball forward. And I mean, Alisson in goal must have been bored because he literally had nothing to do all game, and you know that there was extremely little pressure on him because he ended up with 100% pass accuracy. Thanks to all this time on the ball, Liverpool were able to progress the ball towards the middle third with ease, from where they started by looking to build possession in a 2-3 shape, with Fabinho playing as the solo pivot. Even here we can see that the Liverpool players still had plenty of time on the ball, and we saw them dominating in this shape for large periods, with the fullback situated in his positions either side of Fabinho. Obviously the time on the ball did make life easier for the Liverpool centre backs, but I still thought that they'd done a good job of progressing the play with their passing, although there was actually someone who done it better, and unsurprisingly that was Thiago, who regularly swapped position with Robertson, dropping into these deeper areas on the left hand side, from where he then looked to get on the ball before then progressing the play. We can see Thiago in this deeper left position here, and he made it look incredibly easy to pick the ball up before then progressing the play further forward, and as always his passing was on point pretty much all the time. This was Thiago's third brilliant performance in a row, and again his passing range was incredible, completing all 9 of his attempted long passes and 99 out of his 103 passes. As I was saying earlier, this deeper positioning from Thiago allowed Robertson to take up a higher starting position down the left hand side, which meant that he was able to make the run out wide and into the final third. We can see this exact pattern here with Thiago getting the ball in this deeper area whilst Robertson was pushed higher, and as always Robertson didn't need much of a second invitation to make these runs forward into the final third. Again, Robertson had plenty of space, allowing him to get into the final third quite effortlessly, before then looking to cross the ball into the centre, although at times Liverpool did lack a target to really aim for. Despite struggling with his end product, the high positioning from Robertson was still key, as he provided the width for the attack, which then allowed Luis Diaz to carry the ball into a narrower position. Diaz looked bright and sharp from very early on in the game as he looked to cut in before bending his shot towards goal, whilst there were also times that his narrow positioning would allow him to spread the play out to the right. Diaz has been absolutely brilliant since joining the club, and the speed at which he has adapted to his Liverpool side is extremely impressive, and as always he was a threat taking on his man before looking to link the play. Having switched the ball out towards the right hand side, we then saw Liverpool using that brilliant link up that we have seen all season long, with Henderson, Alexander-Arnold and Salah all interchanging. In this rotation, Arnold often finds himself playing in quite a deep central position, which allows Henderson to make the run forward out wide, and it was of course from this area that Liverpool got their first goal of the game. Now, due to the deflection, I'm pretty sure it will go down as an own goal, but the play down this right hand side was still impressive throughout the game, and Villarreal were never able to deal with this attacking pattern. Now, with Arnold and Henderson taking it in turns to provide the width, it meant that Liverpool always had this width in the final third, which as a result allowed Salah to pick the ball up before moving inside to narrower areas. From quite early on in the game, Salah looked much sharper than what he has in recent weeks and months, and he played with much more subtlety in his game, as he looked to drift inside before then looking to create for others. I've said in recent weeks that the form of Salah has concerned me, but in this particular game he did perform much better, and he was a constant threat as he carried the ball from out wide towards the edge of the box. Having cut in from this wide position, the real key for the Liverpool attack was the movement of Mane up front, as he spent most of the game playing on the blind side of defenders as he made his run in behind the defence. Mane's movement was by far Liverpool's biggest attacking threat in the final third, as he regularly drifted in behind the Villarreal defenders, and it was of course this sort of movement that allowed him to get his important goal. Mane through the centre didn't necessarily offer Liverpool a target in the box to aim for with crosses, however his intelligence and movement in behind the defence was key, and as I said it was crucial for the attack. Despite all this positive play from Liverpool in the final third, things certainly weren't made easy for them, as Villarreal done an excellent job of getting men behind the ball in an extremely narrow 4-4-2 shape. We can see here just how narrow the Villarreal defence was, with even the wide midfielders tucked in extremely narrow, and for large periods of the first half in particular, it did make things really difficult for Liverpool. If we're all being completely honest, we were probably expecting this exact setup, with Emery nearly always favouring this sort of approach when it comes to playing in European competition, and for a long time it did work. However, Liverpool persisted and they were absolutely relentless from minute 1, which we'll come back to in a few minutes, but their attacking play was brilliant throughout and they just needed that little bit of fortune for the first goal, and once they had that, they took control of the game and they just kept going at the Villarreal defence time and time again, with Klopp's side playing brilliant football to really pen Villarreal back. Now time to look at Villarreal and what they'd done in possession, although they never really looked to play the ball out from the back, as instead they chose to push the centre backs extremely high before then sending the ball much longer in quite a direct fashion. From minute 1, Villarreal looked to waste time by calling players short before then pushing them higher up the pitch, as Rudy looked to play the ball long, but more often than not this just gave the ball straight back to Liverpool. Typically when playing in La Liga, Villarreal use a much more modern approach, as they look to play the ball out from the back, but in this particular game, they abandoned that and looked to play far more direct. Unfortunately for Villarreal, they didn't have the same luxury in open play, as Liverpool looked to press them extremely high up the pitch, as they regularly squeeze high on the counter press to try and win the ball back. We all know that Liverpool like to play in this way, and the energy levels from Klopp's side were incredible, as they regularly pressed high as a unit to stop Villarreal playing the ball out from the back, and it worked really well. As I said, we all know that Klopp's side nearly always look to do this, but in this particular game, the quality of the press was brilliant, and they were absolutely relentless as they continued to suffocate Villarreal. This pressing from Liverpool continued for the full 90 minutes, however there was one player who managed to get out of the press, and that was Pau Torres, who took responsibility of playing his way out from the back. As with the rest of the Villarreal players, Pau Torres regularly found himself under a lot of pressure, but he done a great job of taking responsibility to dribble or pass his way out from the back to finally move the ball forward. And alongside Parejo in the midfield, Torres was one of the only players that ever looked like he could get out from the back, and it finally gave Villarreal a platform to move the ball forward to get some possession. Well, at least that might have been what you expected to happen, however it wasn't the case, and again it was all because of the relentless nature of this Liverpool team as they once again forced Villarreal backwards. Here Villarreal had actually got themselves up towards the middle third, however Mane soon applied pressure forcing them to play backwards, and they just kept getting forced further and further back towards their own goal. Two players that were absolutely crucial to this were Fabinho and Thiago in the midfield, who really controlled the centre of the pitch, which forced Villarreal to turn and play backwards, and they just couldn't find a way through, and players like Danjuma higher up the pitch just never really got into the game, and they became so isolated up front, and I genuinely can't recall a single situation when they even looked like close to getting to a Liverpool goal, apart from on corners. As a result, Emery's side never looked like finding a goal, and once they had conceded the first from Liverpool, it looked inevitable that Liverpool would go on to win. And as we look ahead to the second leg next week, Emery desperately needs to find some sort of game plan to get Villarreal back into this tie. But before that, I need to finish up on this game, and it's pretty fair to say that Liverpool were more than deserving of their 2-0 win. As I've said throughout the video, the pressure from Liverpool was just relentless, and they really took control of the game simply due to their energy levels. Now, to give some credit to Villarreal, they did defend brilliantly for large periods of the game, and it took a big slice of luck for Liverpool to open the scoring. Although, as I said, from that point onwards, it always looked quite inevitable that Liverpool would go on to win the game. Although, at 2-0, Villarreal do still have a chance in the second leg, and if they can score early, then they have a big chance, and I will be covering that game here on the channel, so make sure you subscribe for that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.